Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Discover Your Intuitive Self. And I am your host, Brenda Reading. I am very happy to be back tonight to speak to you all. And tonight we're going to talk about our spirit loved ones. Okay? People ask me, does my loved one remember me? Do they know I love them? Do they hear me talking to them? Are they at peace? Or sometimes they say, I didn't get to say goodbye, which is sad. But I will tell you that there is no goodbye. During my reading, sometimes I have had the experience to tell my clients about things that only a spirit loved one would know. Very personal information about things that had happened after they passed. I've also had them talk, meaning the spirit loved ones talk to me about the children that are here now that were born after they passed. So they're aware of very specific things that are going on in our day-to-day life. And so this is, a true thing. It's like they know what's going on with us. And I will tell you that even though I do this spiritual work, right, that when I lost my own mom, it was so real, right? It was too real for me. And I started asking the same type of questions of myself. Is she going to forget about me, right? Does she remember me? Does she love me? All these kind of things that people would ask me that would come to readings, I was asking myself, right? Even though I was proving to these people that were having readings that they do know and they are aware and they do still love you. So with that, I'm going to share with you the story about the first time I actually heard from my mother after she passed. Let me say that the grief I felt with my mom crossing was immense, immense grief. And even though, like I said, doing this work and knowing what I know, it was just so much and too real. And I had the same questions. So my grief was in the way of me hearing from my mom. And my mom would tell me when she was alive, she's like, oh, I haven't heard from your grandmother. I'm so upset. I haven't heard from her. And I couldn't understand why. But every time my mom would talk about my grandma, she would be crying. So there was so much grief that my mom was experiencing that it was too hard for my grandmother to get through all that stuff. So the first time that my mom came through, I was in the house and my husband and I were having a conversation about my father, who was still alive. And he was going through some things, obviously. But my dad had always been a happy-go-lucky kind of guy until he got older. And after my mom passed, he just was even more stubborn and almost, I would use the word, obnoxious, okay? So he was really giving me a hard time about everything. And so my husband and I were discussing this situation in the house. And I have to say, I'm embarrassed to say, but honest to say, I may have even used a derogatory word to describe my father, okay? So after this burst of emotion, I went to go up the stairs to my bedroom. And just before I hit my bedroom, the entrance, I heard this all too familiar voice in that all too familiar tone. That is your father. And I just stopped in my tracks and I was like, Mom? Like, is that you? And at that moment, her energy, the love and her energy just melded right into me. And it was so strong and so overpowering that I literally couldn't breathe, okay? So I have this energy that's all encompassing around me, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And so I get up to walk back out of my bedroom, and I was so dazed from this energy from my mother that I slammed into the door jamb, right? So then I stumbled down the hallway, and I go to turn into the bathroom, and I slam into that door jamb too. No, I had not been drinking, folks, okay? This was my mother's energy, and it was the first time that I had heard from her since she passed. And even when I think about it now, it just fills me with so much emotion. And I literally was crying, but I couldn't breathe, so I'm trying to get water from the bathroom sink. And finally it dawned on me, Mom, you got to step back just a little. Step back just a little, because, maybe she didn't know how strong her energy was for me. And then I could breathe, and I hear my husband scream up from the downstairs, "What the heck is going on up there?" All that noise. And I'm just like crying, and I'm like, "It's Mom." I can feel her, And she had broken through the veil to reprimand me about my father. And it wouldn't be the last time, I have to say, that she would break through that veil. Only one of many times I'm telling you about. So the question, are our spirit loved ones around us? Absolutely. She knew exactly what was going on at that moment. She was not happy with me at that moment because I was having some very verbal things to say about my dad. And no matter how bad my dad ever was, he was my father, and I needed to respect him. And that was something that my mom always said. So are her spirit loved ones around? Absolutely. Now, the story of the first time my father came to talk to me, well, that's a whole nother story for another time. So anyways, why do I bring this up about our loved ones? Are they around? Yes. And recently, there was a special on PBS, and it was a documentary, and it was called Death is But a Dream. And people in the end-of-life phase were being talked about because they were having these vivid, lifelike dreams about their deceased loved ones. And the person that was responsible for this beautiful documentary was Dr. Christopher with a C, Kerr, K-E-R-R. He's the CEO and Chief Medical Officer for Hospice of Buffalo, New York. Now, he has documented with his team over 1,500 cases of people in end-of-life stages having vivid dreams about their loved ones. This is a real thing. He's also written a book also called Death is But a Dream. And he gave a TED Talk, and you can find that on YouTube. And you can find, I think he has a Facebook group too. Now, I personally have had dreams about my spirit loved ones that have already passed, actually readying the room for one of my family members that were very sick and was about to pass. I mean, it's like amazing. And I have to say that this connection with our spirit loved ones, they come in different ways. We've talked about on this show signs, we've talked about, things that happen, coincidences, music, different things, pennies, birds, different ways that your spirit loved ones can reach out to you. But a lot of the issue is our own grief. And as we've talked about before, grief can be and is a very low energetic vibration. And the way it works is our spirit loved ones are at a higher vibration than us, and they have to come down, and we have to raise ours, so that somewhere in the middle, there's a melding of our energies, okay? So when we are so consumed with this grief that we feel of losing our spirit loved ones, it makes it really hard for them to connect with us. So what we're going to do tonight is I have put together just a little exercise. And this is something that you can do, at home by yourself in the quiet to help you start to move through your grief. Because grief is a very personal thing. Nobody is telling you that you have to get over the loss of your loved ones. Nobody is suggesting that there is a time limit of how long you grieve for someone. Nobody is suggesting that the amount of grief that you have for someone is to be measured or compared to anyone else's grief, okay? Your grief is personal. It's personal to you. But what I'm trying to suggest is that if you're in a place where you think you might be ready to try to connect to your spirit loved ones, then you might want to try this little exercise where it will help you to slowly be able to move that grief out. So let's right now, just not if you're driving, close your eyes and sit back in your chair. And I would like you to choose the spirit loved one that you wish to work with at this moment. The spirit loved one that you are wanting to connect with in some sort of way, okay? And let's take a few slow, deep breaths in and out, and just slowly begin to release the tension of the day. And that's good. Now, in your mind's eye, okay, with your eyes closed, I would like you to imagine your spirit loved one's face. Yes, see their face in your imagination, but see them healthy and happy and radiating perfect peace and health. So once you get that image of your loved one, right? Now, I want you to see them as if they're smiling back at you, okay? Your spirit loved one is in perfect health, and they're smiling back at you. And you can see the love in their eyes that they have for you. And I say have because love never dies, and your love goes on forever. So they are smiling at you, and you can see the love in their eyes. Now I would like you to remember something that your spirit loved one really, really enjoyed. Something they truly loved to do. Now imagine in your mind's eye that you can see them doing that thing that they love to do. Maybe they love to fish. Maybe they love to sew. Maybe they love to eat cake. Whatever it was, whatever made them truly happy, I want you to imagine them doing that very thing. Makes your heart feel happy. And they are happy. They are enjoying themselves. Now, I would like you to think about a happy memory that you share with them, okay? Think about a happy time that you spent together. Maybe even a silly time, a funny time, a memory that made you both laugh. Feel that And take a deep breath and let out the emotion that comes with that memory. Because there could be tears right now. You could be having some tears. So just let it go. Whatever emotion that you have, just allow yourself to have it, okay? Along with this memory of fun that you had with your spirit loved one. Just see both of you together in your mind's eye, and you're both happy and smiling. And as you do this, you can feel the happy emotions fill your body and your soul and your heart. And allow yourself this moment of happiness with your spirit loved one. It feels very real. Right now, I'm thinking about how my mom and I used to make Christmas cookies together. And my kids might be with me or not. We all decorated them together. But I'm thinking about how she used to stick her finger back into the icing and do another cookie and then lick her finger and then stick it back in and do another cookie. Sorry, I digress. Yeah, you gotta think of a funny memory that made you laugh about your spirit loved one. And we all have them, right? We all have them. And they're precious. Aren't they just precious, these memories that we have? You have to take a moment and sit and think about those good times and those funny moments, because those are the ones that carry us through, right? So now as we think about your spirit loved one in your mind's eye again, right? Now my mom is just like going, are you kidding me? You said that and you told them. You told them on the radio about that. Oh, think about something that you're truly grateful for about your spirit loved one, right? Think about something that was very special between the two of you and that you have gratitude for. I have to say, my mom, she raised her daughters knowing that we needed to stand on our own 2 feet. You know, she's like, you have to get an education. You have to be able to take care of yourself. She was very, very adamant about that. And I'm so grateful for that. You know, it just instilled in me a sense of responsibility for my own life and my own being. And so I'm very grateful to my mom for that. So you think about what you're grateful for to your spirit loved one right now. And feel that gratitude. And as you're looking at their smiling face, tell them. Maybe you didn't get a chance to tell your spirit loved one how grateful you were about something, you know, something simple, something complicated, whatever it is. Maybe you didn't get a chance to talk to them like that. Maybe you didn't have that kind of relationship, you know. But take the moment and tell them how grateful you are for that thing, whatever it was. Could be just being born, right? Maybe you don't even know your biological parents and you just want to tell them, hey, thank you for having me, right? It could be as simple as that. Everybody's situation is different. So let's just concentrate again on their face, smiling back at you. And just tell them you'll be back to visit again because you can, because you have those memories. You have those memories of the good times, the funny times, the happy times. And you can do this in your own house, in your own car while you're sitting there waiting for someone to come out of the doctor's office because you can't go in because it's still COVID. You can do this anytime. Just take those moments. And I think that the more that you do that, you know, it raises your vibration and the chance that you'll be able to connect with them. It makes it easier. It makes it easier for them to connect with you. And it also, the more you start thinking about good times, as hard as it is, because I know it's hard. You know, we've all done that. And I feel so sorry that, you know, you've had to lose someone that you really love. But let me tell you, we really haven't lost them. They've just stepped into the next room. Sometimes our spirit loved ones try to connect with us to make amends, right? Maybe our relationships may not have been all hunky-dory and they could have been strained at times, especially at the end. I've had numerous clients, you know, their spirit loved one comes in and you know, their question is, well, you know, we kind of had an argument, you know, do they know I didn't really mean it and all that, you know? So sometimes they come in to make amends, or maybe there's things that they need to tell you they're sorry for. And I will tell you from personal experience, sometimes you're not ready to hear from them. You know, maybe you're just not ready to hear, I'm sorry, or, you know, whatever it is they have to say. But I will tell you, you may not think you're ready, but if you do need to have that conversation with your spirit loved one through a medium, then I encourage you to try. I encourage you to try by allowing that connection, because it will bring healing to both of you. It will bring healing to those on the other side, for them being able to make their amends, because, you know, since they've been on the other side, they've had their life review. They see all the things that they did or didn't do, or things they could have done better. And so not only will it bring healing to you, it will bring healing to them. It will help you to let go of negative emotion that you've been carrying around. And, you know, as we know that the longer you carry around negative emotions in your body, they can become physical illnesses. Okay? But I will give you one word of caution. And that is, if you go for a reading and the reader simply says, for example, I have a man in spirit and he wants to say he's sorry. Okay? You have every right to ask that reader for more information to help you identify the person. Okay? Physical appearance, mannerisms, details about their life, how they passed, anything to help you know for sure who you're dealing with and who you're talking to, okay? Because a good medium will be able to give you that. We'll be able to give you more information about the person that wants to make amends with you, okay? So what I want to say to you is, if you're at all interested in diving deeper into this topic about our spirit loved ones and how to move through grief and how to enhance your connection, I will be doing a class this summer at Lilydale Assembly. And it will be at least on Zoom, okay? We're hoping that everything will be open and that, you know, we'll be able to be doing in-person classes. But at the very least, the class will be on Zoom. And it is entitled, There Is No Goodbye, okay? And the date is July 20th. It's from 2 to 5 p.m. And shortly, all of the classes will be listed on the LilydaleAssembly.com website so that you can purchase your tickets. So if you're interested in diving further into this, I would be very happy to have you join in on our class. The other thing I want to mention, and I'm very excited about, is, do you remember our friend Sue Stush? I had her on a couple months ago, and she talked about paranormal investigations, right? Well, she is coming back next week, and I'm excited she's coming back, and we're going to be talking about tarot and the different tidbits she has about tarot, and also how she takes her mediumship and unfolds the tarot into it to do her readings. So it's kind of like intuitive tarot along with strict tarot. I mean, she just knows so much about it that that it's going to be a really great show. I also want to tell you I'm going to be doing a second class in Lilydale, and it's called Touching the Divine Guidance for Everyday Living. That is in August, and that too will be on the Lilydale website when it's time for you to possibly check it out. So, talking about our spirit loved ones, right? I will say that they can hear you, and whatever you are doing in your daily life, you know, they can help you with that. I know that sounds a little far-fetched, but I think, I mean, and I know, I don't just think I know, that if you are working on something or you have some issues or you need help with some personal things or relationships or whatever it is, our spirit loved ones want to help us. And all you have to do really, you know, is ask. And part of the asking is just with a clear heart and intentions, you know, that you really need their help. And so it's okay for you to walk around your house talking to your spirit loved ones. It's okay to ask them to help you because they will help you. It's okay. I mean, if you have to and you feel weird about saying it out loud, write it down on a piece of paper. You know, it's okay. Because I talk to my mom and my dad and other people that I, you know, are on the other side all the time. And I ask for guidance from angels. I mean, before I do the show, I always ask Archangel Gabriel, he's the angel of communication, to help me so that what I say makes sense, okay? So it is fine to ask for help from your spirit loved ones. And after next week, I will be talking about angels and spirit guides on the show, and we will talk about how to get their help for your everyday guidance as well. So with that, I'm going to thank you for tuning in. I hope that helped you, you know, helped you with your grief as far as maybe moving forward a little bit with that in order to connect with your loved ones. And have a good week.